Now, there's a bit of an unwritten rule when you're building campers or modifying cars or buying motorbikes or push bikes or any of that serious stuff, that you never ever write down the costs of it. Well, I've broken that rule with the camper this time, and I've actually tallied up all of my costs to get it to where it is at this point, and today I'm going to share that with you. It may not be a good thing. Stay tuned. Now, before we start this week's episode, I've got some merch I'm getting out if you'd like to support the channel. It's a Live for Weekends logo on the front of these t-shirts, and on the back we've got this awesome caricature of the Jeep and the camper. And even if you're not a Jeep lover, I think it looks pretty damn hot. But if you'd like to support the channel, I think that's a reasonable way to do it. Don't make a lot on it, but I'm just getting a shop up and running at the moment, so we'll sort that out in the near future, but really chuffed with those. That's right. Now, today we're going to run over what this camper has cost to build. I've gone over all of my receipts. I haven't cut back on pricing. If anything, I've probably been a bit more generous with what things have cost. But I've got everything there. I've gone through all of my shopping carts and receipts and everything. So it's fairly spot on. There's some more stuff that I want to do to this camper. However, this is where we are at this current time. Because we've got people all around the world watching this, I'll give you an idea of where the market is in my country, Australia. To buy a basic, well-built camper with no bells and whistles. These are a solid camper. There's a couple of manufacturers that do this type of thing. They're well known. Their campers are well loved. However, they are quite basic and they're built to a cost. Those campers start at around the 14.5 mark, and that's for their really lightweight on-road models, and their off-road models are probably around the 19k mark, and then you start adding your options from there. The well-built and well-finished campers using good materials start at around the 30k mark, and they run up to probably mid-40s. When you get over 45,000, you're starting to get into the composite builds like composite shells, bespoke suspension, and things like that. In my country, you top out with Brothers EXP4, which is a really lovely camper, and they start at around the 65 and probably top out around 75, which is a lot of money for a queen size bed teardrop type of camper, but they're lovely, and yeah, I'd have one in a heartbeat. But anyway, now, before I start with costings, when building this, I haven't cut back on anything. It's all been, if I want it, I just get it. Because I'm building it, in my mind, the savings I'm making on building it, I can put into better quality products. And that's where I've gone. So you could build one cheaper. However, I wanted a quality item, and I have a problem when I go on holidays. I either like to camp in a swag, or I like 5-star, and I don't like anything in between. For me, this is like 5-star camping, so I'm more than happy in this. So let's roll on with what this has cost. Now, first up, let's talk about the chassis. The chassis was an ex-Army number 5 trailer that I bought at an auction. I sold off some bits and pieces on it, and in the end, the chassis was free. So the actual chassis portion didn't cost anything, and then we start adding up the costs. The trailer ID plate was 20 bucks. The Alco parking brake handle was 130. The parking brake cable kit was 50. The shock absorber kit 220. With the axle, I thought I want parallel bearings. When I've had a camper in the past, the dramas you have are with bearings and quality of bearings and the like. I wanted an off-road bearing kit that was heavy duty, so to get that I've gone for 50mm braked axle with parallel bearings. They've got Land Cruiser stud pattern. That was $930, and that was custom made to the width that I wanted. The mudguards were $104. The Alco 840mm drop down stabilisers were $200. The leaf spring kit, I bought a cheap leaf spring kit to get some leaves out because some of the leaves in the Army springs were a bit past their use by date. They were $110. The jerry can holder, that was $280. The bazooka end caps for the tube where I put the awning poles in, they were $96. The wheels and tyres were $950, and the Treg hitch that I changed over the pintle hook for was $460, and that came to a grand total of $3,585. You can see how it starts to add up really quickly. I have looked at my next build maybe, and I'm looking at chassis that could end up at $7,000 or $8,000. You can see how some of these top-end campers, the money just ramps up like this. Anyway, so with this chassis, it's $3,585 for all those things that I've listed. Onto the body. Now with the camper body, I've added everything that makes up the shell, and that's the awning and the extra room that I've just bought, the Dacho annex and the like. With the camper body, I wanted it clad in composite material. I wanted the plywood to be 18mm on the walls and floor. I didn't want any joins in it, so as such with the floor I've had to go to a larger sheet, which costs more. And I also didn't want to cheapen on the plywood on the walls because I didn't want to see any knots in the walls. I wanted a nice furniture finish, and that's what I've got, so the plywood's cost a little bit more. I wanted the interior to be light and airy, and it's only windows and doors that will do that. I'm only running one door, and I've done that just because it suits our use. So let's get through these prices. Sikaflex, I've used $300 worth of Sikaflex. Some of it is $34 a tube, so it's quite expensive. The gloss white lightweight ply, $730. That stuff is $220 or $230 a sheet. Expensive stuff, but well worth it. The large 18mm sheet for the floor was $350. The 4 sheets of plywood for the walls was $600. If you're going to cheapen out on anything in your camper, don't cheapen out on the windows. You need fly screens, you need some sort of privacy, and these windows give me all of that. The 3 windows were $1,150. The cupboard door latches were $41. The window that I bought for the hatch conversion was 1,000 by 800mm. That was $525. Aluminium for the roof racks, $220. I've still got a heap of that left over. So some of this, whilst it's cost X, I've got more left over for another project. The black composite panels for the roof were $220. The metallic grey composite for the walls was $360. The camper side door was about $700. The Dache awning was $1,200, and the Dache annex, which is the room that fits under the awning, was $650. The mattress was bought from IKEA. It's a really comfy mattress. That was $350. The external aluminium trim on the edges and the like, that was $350. The paint, $300 to paint the mudguards and the trim and everything, and the roof racks. Nuts, bolts, screws, fridge slides, etc. So all the ancillary bits that you don't account for, $900. The body, to build this, to drop down, and that includes the fridge box, was $9,000. So we're up to, what, $13,500? Yeah, we're up to about $13,500 so far. We're up to the price of nearly a really basic camper. Now onto the electricals and the 240 volt part of that. I've splurged, yes, and there is a 30 kilo air conditioner on the roof of this camper. If you're just off-grid camping, you don't need it, you won't be able to run it. Unless you've got a generator or there's like, which I'm not going to carry. However, if you're going to spend some time in a caravan park with shore power, it is worth its weight in gold. I've had a few people comment that it will be like a fridge box in there, and it's not. You just set it at the temperature you want and it just works it out itself. I didn't buy the cheapest one. You know, my theory of let's get good parts. I've bought Dometic's lightweight inverter version. That was $2,200. The 240 volt stuff is all CMS, so it's all clicked together. It's what Jayco use in their caravans, so they don't have to have electricians on the line. Basically, you just get all the parts, they're suitable for caravans, and you just buy the cables and it all just clicks together like any other electrical plug. The cables have cost $140. The power points, I've got two doubles, they were $70. This is three-way adapter for the cables, that was $10. The 15 amp 240 volt input, where you put your 240 volt into the side of the camper, that was $20. There's a mounting block for one of the double power points, that was $10. And there's one CMS 1 in, 2 cables out adapter, and that was $6.30. So not all that expensive. The major cost has been the air conditioner. There's $2,456 in that. Onto the 12 volt. Now 12 volt, I originally wasn't going to spend a lot on 12 volt and I just went down the rabbit hole. I probably haven't gone down as far as what I'd really like to go now, but you kind of get a little bit addicted to it. The stuff by itself doesn't seem all that much, but when you start adding it up, it does. I'm so happy I've bought the lithium batteries over the AGM batteries, and I think they're worth their weight in gold, and it's a game changer with regard to using 12 volt in your camper. Anyway, let's go through this. And again, where I've bought 12 volt stuff, I've bought like Nava stuff, which is a good brand, Australian made. So I haven't delved down the eBay stuff on too much. I think the only stuff I've really got off eBay are the 12 volt downlights. But anyway, let's run through this. The Sphere Bluetooth module, that's the Bluetooth module for the switches for the lights throughout the camper. Again, that's the Jayco thing, and they use it on their line to save wiring through their campers. The module was $150. I've used 2 USB sockets inside the camper, one either side of the bed. They're $65. The Sphere lighting switches, which are the buttons that control the lights, they're $105. The Sirocco fan, which is a really good fan, and if you don't have air conditioning, you want at least 1 or 2 of those things, they're $145. They're really quiet, they're a really nice fan, and everyone uses them. The 2 Nava awning lights, which are these things, they're $150. The Nava 7-pin trailer plug to connect the camper to the Jeep is $15. The trailer wire, the 7-core that runs from the trailer plug to everything, that was $40 for 10 metres. The 12 volt downlights, there was 2 packets of those. I got those off eBay, they were $45, and I've still got a few left over. The trailer lights were $30. They're an eBay special. Truck Light do a version, and until such time as these fade or whatever, these will do. The Nava interior reading lights, which are on a swivel, really nice light, they were $80 for 2. Now the solar panels, it's a 250 watt folding kit. I bought that off eBay, and it's working well. As I said, I've taken off all the folding mechanism and we've bolted those to the roof racks. The solar panels were $170. The solar panel entry gland was $13.29, and that's the part where the wires that go from the solar panels go into the camper, so it waterproofs everything. I bought a Deutsch connector kit. They're waterproof automotive plugs. I bought a kit that had all different types of plugs in, along with the crimper, and that was $155. The Red Arc BCDC was $500. Reduct stuff is really expensive, although it just works, as everyone tells me it does, so that was worth its weight in gold. A 40 amp circuit breaker was $48.50. The Renogy 100 amp lithium battery, that was $799. So big cost in that, but as I said, very worth it. The BT2 Bluetooth module that plugs into the battery that gives me a Bluetooth readout is $40. The King's 12 volt panel that everything runs through was $199. All up for the 12 volt stuff was $2,749. That's a lot of money. Maybe I should have gone with my first option, which was still $1,000, the Dometic power bank, but that was only 50 amps and doesn't do what all this does, and to be honest, when you go away, this just works. So what's the total cost? Total cost is $17,887. It sounds a lot, but I've had a few people ask me, would you build me a camper? And like, I wouldn't be building it on a number 5 chassis again. You'd have to get something made. You'd have to be charging, because if you took in, you know, your salary, there's probably, I'd say there's 100 to 120 hours in building one of these things. And just let me state that the time isn't in building the box. The time is doing all the finishing work. And whilst I'm a bit pedantic with that, you still want something that's half decent. So I'd say there's 100 to 120 hours in building one. On top of that, if you were to build them commercially, you've got all your taxes, superannuations, rent of somewhere to build them. I mean, if you're doing them en masse, I don't think the neighbours are going to really enjoy you having it there. So you're going to be up for at least $500 a week in rent. And then there's the tools. You know, if you're going to do it on a commercial level, you'd save some time with a CNC machine, but by the same token, you've got to fund that. Looking at where the market is, you'd have to be around the mid 30 to high 30 mark to build this and retail it. I just don't see any way. If you took out some of the stuff, yeah, you'd probably get down to low 30k mark. But it shows you indicatively where the market stands, and there's been a few people that look at these campers and go, oh, they cost too much. Actually, no, they don't. For what's in them, for what the commercial guys are charging, there's some guys out there, and especially at the low end of the market, I don't think they're making enough on them. I think they're about $2 or $3 grand too cheap. Now, I've probably saved myself a heap of cash by building this over buying one. I was, you know, to the point of putting down some cash on one, but it just wasn't exactly what I wanted, and this has turned out to be what I want. I've, as I said, saved myself a heap of cash, and that money has gone into modifying and restoring the Jeep, and my total payout, I've got the vehicle that I want to drive around in and the camper that I want to the levels that I want them. But at the end of the day, this is what the campers cost. I'm fairly happy with it, actually. I originally sold it to my partner as I'm going to build a $7 or $8 grand camper. I was like, cool. But as it's gone on, it's kind of grown a little bit. One thing I will say though is this camper was made for the Jeep to tow. If I had a vehicle that would tow a lot more, I probably would have built one with a queen size mattress in. However, I've got 900 kilos that I can tow with a 90 kilo ball weight. And if you look at all of the ones that are well built with a lot of accessories on, they're nudging the 900 or more, like Brother's version. It's 950 kilos to start with, so I can't even tow it. So I think with that brief, it's turned out quite well. But as I said, there's more to come. We've got a holiday booked in for a week down the coast in the next month. So lots more to come. So that's about it for today, guys. Don't forget to comment down below. Tell me what you think of the build costs. Have I wasted my money? Have I spent too much? Anyway, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.